Welcome to the Thickness Podcast. All right, folks, evening. Welcome to the first episode of the Thickness Podcast. I am Niall Timony, for anybody that doesn't know me. I am a photographer. I love saying that, photographer. It's a new one for me to say. I'm a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a father, husband, brother, son, all them other things that people are. I've started this podcast initially with the idea of interviewing people with a really strong mindset, just to sort of pick their brains and see what makes them tick, see what makes them get up in the morning and do all these things that they do that impress people. I know they don't go out to do that to impress people, but this is what they do. So yeah, that was initially the the original reason for starting this. I had a few people lined up, a few people spoken to, and lined up that I wanted to interview and that there, and just time, being a photographer, wedding season, things just didn't sort of line up the way that I was sort of expecting them to maybe do so. I've flipped it a little for the moment. I am going to the Himalayas now in 3 weeks. On the 30th, we're flying out to Kathmandu on the 30th of October. And I'm going out to the Himalaya mountains to climb Mera Peak. Originally, I had this trip booked and it was going to be Everest Base Camp. Jason Black from Letterkenny, who has summited Mount Everest and K2, and been up every 7,000, 8,000, 6,000 metre peak that's worth talking about. Had advertised Everest Base Camp. I had done a couple of things with Jason before, so I was following his page. It came up. I had spoken to my wife Amanda about it before, and we had it came up over Christmas, and I said to her, I says, look, would you give me 2-3 weeks in October? And she knew straight away what it was. So we booked that, and I would say within a day or two, Jason had contacted me, and he said that he was doing Mera Peak at the same time. He had aligned it that he would be in Kathmandu, arriving the same dates for Mera Peak, for the expedition to Mera Peak, as the same time as the Everest Base Camp people. And he said to me, he says, would you be interested in doing that? He says, it would be a bigger challenge for you. You're more goal orientated, you're more challenge driven, you'd be well fit for it. And he said that it's not that you wouldn't get a challenge out of base camp. He says you would, but he says it's just lining up better for you here that I'll be there, I'll be leading the expedition, other stuff like that, more technical climb, hike, more exciting sort of thing. So I said, leave it with me. Waited up for a couple of days, was disgusted that it was in my head, and I initially said no. I was opening a photography studio here at the side of the house this year. I didn't feel that maybe the time was right or whatever, but I said no initially. We were away on holidays this year with the family, and I replied to one of Jason's Instagram posts, and he came back to me and he says, what about Mera Peak? And not initially, the minute that he sent that message, or I seen that message, I was like, oh, probably spent a couple of days over the holidays thinking about it hard. Spoke to my wife, came home, spoke with my father, and it was actually him that kind of swayed it for me. Saying that Jason wouldn't have probably asked twice if he didn't feel that you would have been a valuable part of the team. So yeah, look, that's kind of where it's gone to. So I'm doing Mera Peak now in 3 weeks' time. I'm going to use this podcast as a way of documenting it. I know that the likes of getting Wi-Fi and stuff like that there out in the Himalayas won't be easy. So it'll be like short episodes, 10 to 15 minutes, just basically going through what happened on a daily basis, some of the places that we've seen, some of the people that we've met, the team members. As it stands, I think there's 7 or 8 of us in the team. I don't know too many of them. I know of one girl, Liz Dwyer, that's down in Kerry. She's only after she's taking part in the Kerry Ultra Marathon. She does loads of marathons, loads of hiking, stuff like that there. Don't really know any of the rest of the team members. We've had a couple of calls and that there, but it'll be great to meet them and speak with them on a daily basis and find out, what drives them and that, and maybe throw a wee interview or such in along with that as well. So for anybody that doesn't know anything about Mera Peak, it has an elevation of 6,476 meters. Base camp is 5,328, I think. So Mera Peak is in the Mahalungar section of the Himalayas. So you split when you land at Lukla Airport. You split. You go one direction. Base camp ones go the other direction. It's kind of what I've been told, it's a more quieter region, and probably a more authentic version of the Nepalese people that you'll end up meeting. It's not going to be as busy, anywhere near as busy as the base camp route. So that'll be interesting as well, to meet all those people. But yeah, looking at other things on Mera, it's a non-technical climb. So basically, it's the highest hiking peak in the Himalayas. For the last day for the summit, you are harnessed, you are wearing your crampons, you are using an ice axe, you'll have your helmet and all on, you are roped together, but you're not using the ropes in a normal technical climb. So I suppose this is kind of like the bridge and the gap between hiking and mountaineering and such. We'll be camping for 2 nights on the very side of the mountain, so I might put up a wee picture here for anybody that's watching this, and just shows you that it was kind of the picture that I seen first that sold me on it. I was like, that's just mental looking, to be camping literally on the side of the mountain. I think it's maybe, I can't remember the exact height to the summit that you're camping from, but it's it's mad looking. But so there's the camping aspect of it. The actual trip in itself is a 14-day trip, with the majority of it being hiking out. You arrive day one in Kathmandu, you check in for dinner, and your night there. You fly then from Kathmandu to Lukla, which is the most dangerous airport in the world. I showed Max a video of that there. Max, my son, who's 8, he's quite anxious about me going. because he doesn't really know what I'm going to do or that. So I was showing him a few videos and that there, and was showing him the airport, and he thought that was absolutely brilliant. It's the world's most dangerous airport. So you fly into Lukla, then it's trekking for day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8. On day 9 we have an acclimatization day with some pre-climb training. I'll say that again, pre-climb training. Then you have the trek to Mera Base Camp, and then you have the trek from Mera Base Camp to High Camp, and then day 12 is Summit Day. And then it's a helicopter ride back to Ramchap, or back to Lukla, I should say. So yeah, it's a fairly intense 14 days. There's a lot of trekking without much rest breaks between it. And the whole thing about this, I suppose, is being ready. For me, being ready for it. I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 4 to 5 days a week. For anybody that knows anything about Jiu-Jitsu, it's fairly intense. For anybody that's tried it before, it's one of those sports that you use muscles that you never knew you had, or if you did know you had them, you never used them. It's a really intense sport. It's fantastic in the sense that you can go as hard or as light as you want. You're at very little risk of injuring yourself, but it's a full contact sport. You just have to tap or say I give up or whatever. I've been training now for 11 years under Brian Gorman in Donegal Town at Helene Gracie with all the lads there and the ladies. We have a great team, great squad of people in there, great camaraderie. So that's my main training. I do supplement it with some strength and conditioning at home. I have some weights in the garage, I have a rower, I have a static exercise bike, and I do a bit of road running. So for this, I haven't really ramped up training too much, in the sense that I'm still doing all my usual, but I am getting up. I suppose, concentrating a wee bit more on my strength and conditioning, and adding an extra running, and then a long hike at the weekend. So that's really involving like sort of Monday, Monday morning up at 6, weight session or a run, and then Monday evening either or again, vice versa. Tuesday then it's Jiu-Jitsu. It's up in the morning. It's up in the morning Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock. You either get your weight session or your running. Jiu-Jitsu every other evening that I can. Saturday morning is Saturday kids class Jiu-Jitsu, and then some more Jiu-Jitsu for the adults, and then Sunday it is a hike of some form. So yeah, I've been doing that for the last couple of weeks, and it's been going more or less fairly well. Last Saturday, Jason ran the last day of his Ireland 7 Summit series, and that was finishing in Donegal, thankfully, and it was the Seven Sisters. So the Seven Sisters is the range in Derryveigh, the Derryveigh mountain range in Donegal, starting on Muckish and ending on Errigal, and taking in all the sisters in between. It worked out. It was a horrendous start to the morning. The weather wasn't great. Forecast had been fantastic for the day. Typical Donegal, didn't turn out that way. But it went well. There was a great group. There was 3 groups. There was a standard, an intermediate, and advanced. The advanced was going to work out, I think it was supposed to be about 23k. Worked out at being about 26, I think the watch ended up telling me. There was 54 of us, I think, in the advanced group. And I had said to myself, if this was going to be the litmus test for me to see how we fared out. It was 11 hours in the mountains. It was while the weather wasn't great, it was a fantastic day. There was some great people out there. Good to get talking to Jason beforehand, and that was that. It was up the next day. Then legs were touch sore, weren't too bad, but we hit the road for a 5k just to push it through. So there's been no days off for the training, because there isn't going to be days off on this. So it's just a time to push hard now and get through it. That's been the training. There's been a bit of equipment to buy, not much. I had a good bit of stuff, but unfortunately some of it just wasn't fit for 6,500 meters. The likes of the down jacket, the one I had, just wasn't going to cut it, wasn't going to keep me warm enough. And look at the thing is going to be, nights are probably going to be minus 20, minus 25, so warmth is going to be of the utmost. And just wee bits and pieces that hadn't been picked up before that, they'll be used again and they were needed, so they had to be bought. So that's kind of it, training wise, gear wise, the team. I suppose I'm doing this really, I mightn't be able to talk to the kids and Amanda for any more than 30 seconds in an evening. Having done TubeCal last year, I know what the Wi-Fi's like in some of these tea houses, and it's non-existent, or if it is anyway decent, everybody's trying to get on it at the one time, to contact home or check in online or whatever, and it's really, really difficult to get on it. So my plan kind of is with this is to record at the end of the day what happened for the day as a bit of a journal and diary kind of episode that Amanda can play for the kids either the next morning or whatever. And it's a way of tracking it for me, and keeping a record of what I get out of this and how I perform and stuff like that. So yeah, look, it is interesting for me. I'm extremely excited about all this. I'm not extremely excited about doing a podcast about it, but I think it's quite possibly the right thing to do. So yeah, look, if you want, follow. If you don't, I don't mind. It would be great if you did. But again, you're going to be listening to me rambling on about walking through a jungle at the start, I think, through the national park, and my trials and tribulations and fighting with myself and pushing through and all the other things that go with hiking for hours and hours on end. So yeah, look, I may do another episode before I go. It's possible. It's also highly unlikely it might happen. But if I do, I'll alert you through social media and all that kind of nonsense. But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully interesting for other people. I really do hope that you'll get something out of it as much as I'll get out of it, hopefully. And yeah, look, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. That sounds better. Thanks for listening. Tuning in. Yeah, thanks for listening. Good luck.